Sorry about that introduction. It wasn't supposed to do that. It automatically just does it. So sorry about that. I'm hoping that they go live right now in Chino Valley to go over the meeting about the Perkins private airstrip, obviously being funded by Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, a place that has been here for ages, as well as the family. So today they are talking about it. And the meeting minutes, public hearing regarding ZC 2025-03 and CUP-2025-05 for the rezoning of approximately 390 acres from a single family residential, minimum 2-acre lots, SR2-2, to agriculture residential to a minimum of 36-acre lots, along with a conditional use permit to allow the construction and operation of a privately owned operated airfield and associated uses. The property is generally located east of the intersection of East Perkins Road and Forest Service Road, 318 in Chino Valley, Arizona. So once again, guys, I'm hoping that we get people the Chino Valley actually start showing it live. That's what we're hoping for currently right now. Let's see. Currently right now, this is what I'm looking at. It's supposed to be here in this location. So we are hoping that it actually gets posted. We're hoping. That's what we're hoping for. But until then, we're looking for a little bit of discussion. So excuse the mess behind me, guys. I just moved back into this area because it technically gets cold during the freaking winter. But anyways, I'm wondering if there's any questions that we could go ahead and have a conversation about what is happening. Let's make sure that I am live. Oh, looks like it. Let's make sure that I am. Oh, I am. Cool. I see it. Right on. Perfect. Just wanted to make sure because usually I have a couple people in the room that says I'm live. So, do we have any questions out there? I know there's a lot of people out there that have many questions, and what is working, what is not working, why are we not doing it, how come we're doing it, is it going to be affecting the life of the Chino Valley people, Prescott people. I don't know if you guys know it, but Mayor Kathy Rusing was talking to the airport director in Prescott, and they were talking about extending the airstrip, and that's been a-okay. So I think they're extending another 10,000 feet, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to go check it out, you can go back to the YouTube video or even maybe on their Facebook page, stating that they extended it. So what does that mean? That means bigger jets get to land in Prescott's airport. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be completely passenger jets, but I think that's what they ended up saying. So I just want to let you guys know, but that has been accepted, and that's what's happening in Prescott, Arizona. So yeah, you guys are getting smaller airplanes touching down in Prescott. We're going to be getting jets, and yeah, there's more info on that one. Maybe I could go ahead and find it so you guys can go ahead and watch it while we wait for this. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and I'll just let you hear Mayor Kathy Rusing in regards to the Prescott Airport. And yeah, you guys should definitely be paying attention, because if you're not, then this is what's happening in all of our communities. It's not just one community, it's all of them, every one of them. And they're all trying to help the congestion that is here already. And obviously that's what's needed in a lot of cases. So let me see if I can go ahead and, yeah, here it is. Here it is. I'll let you guys go ahead and listen for yourself, because I feel like, this is exactly what you guys need to pay attention. I mean, this is happening in Prescott. not even 15 minutes, 10 minutes, depending on how fast you're driving or if there's any traffic, to Chino Valley. And this is going to be happening right in your backyard. So hopefully you guys can hear this.
Welcome to this week's community update. Hello, press.
And once again, the reason why I'm sharing this is because the video for Chino Valley has not been posted yet. And I wanted you guys to hear what's happening at the Prescott Airport, okay? That's the only reason why I'm showing this. A lot of people are like, hey, this is not Chino Valley. This is Prescott. We're your next door neighbors. So just listen and be educated about what is actually happening. It's crazy.
And welcome to this week's community update. Today, I'm coming to you from the Prescott Regional Airport, and I'm right here in our brand new, beautiful terminal. It's one of our community's most important transportation and economic assets. The airport plays a critical role in connecting residents and visitors to all over the world and strengthening our regional economy. It is also a valuable public safety asset, serving as a staging and support area for our wildland slurry bomber fire operations throughout our northern Arizona region. And it is also a great example of infrastructure that supports both economic vitality and community safety. And today I'm going to be joined by Rick Kreider, our airport director, who will share more about the airport's role and what's ahead for the future. And I want to begin with an important downtown construction update. Concrete repair work at several downtown intersections was delayed due to weather. So the construction city staff and public safety professionals. Please join Prescott Police Department.
Okay, sorry guys. Let me just get to the point.
So that way we can release the funds and get the improvements going for this year's rodeo. And then after the amendment is passed, there's about 5 buildings. The council members there on Tuesday. As always, the full agendas and the meeting details are available on the city's website. And now I'd like to turn it over to Rick Kreider, our airport director. He's going to tell us about airport operations, our recent progress, and what else is going on at our beautiful airport.
Well, thanks, Mayor. Yeah, it's lots of exciting things going on at Prescott Regional Airport. There's been a lot of excitement and discussion about the runway shift, and so that's been
the extension too.
The extension and the shift, right? So we've had some great conversations with our FAA partners and our state partners. About to start the environmental process on that, so very excited about that.
Yeah,
that'll take a few months, but we're making progress.
Yeah, so this is going to be a huge project. We're going to extend the runway to 10,000 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And also strengthen it too, so we can have bigger airplanes,
commercial service aircraft, right?
Yeah,
and that's a variety. Certainly, the air service aircraft.
So you guys heard that, right? They're in order for bigger airplanes, and they didn't say jets. Obviously, they're not propelled; they're all jets. Are going to be landing in Prescott, Arizona, and as you heard him, he said the construction is pretty quick. So probably sooner than this year, you're probably going to start seeing bigger jets. But it also serves a good purpose, and you guys are going to hear more of that right now.
They have a high wheel loading, so they'll benefit from that.
So more passengers.
More passengers. The Forest Service, they operate the large tankers. And then we have, occasional military aircraft that will benefit from it as well.
Yeah. And it's very important because we have the U.S. Forest Service fire complex here, and the slurry bombers need to be able to fly out with a full load of slurry. As it is now, they can only fly out with half a load. So this will be wonderful. And they're expanding their operation.
All right, guys. It's actually on now. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch the tab over to the public hearing.
Ever worked for a council that was fully dedicated to the best interest of their town, like these folks are. Everything that comes before them, they read. Everything you send them, they read. They reach out and they do their research in their background. And so it was particularly dismaying to me to have people accusing them of taking bribes, of having contractors do things on their homes, of being in collusion. That's upsetting, and so it was very important to me that I say that on their behalf, because they won't say it on their own. Please respect their position, respect this tough decisions they have to make. We're a small town with limited resources, and it is staffed. We're our charge, any developer that brings something before us, it is our job to work with them, and put the best package together for presentation to council. And then council will weigh all of those factors, because sometimes it's yes, and sometimes it's no. But we have to bring those opportunities here, and they have to consider them or we won't survive. That doesn't mean this is yes or no, but it's important that we understand that as a community and as a town, they're trying to do their very best on your behalf, and I hope you recognize that. Thank you, Mayor.
Well,
Right. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Luigi, Assistant Director of Development Services here with Town Chino Valley. Before you tonight is the public hearing for the Perkins Airfield Zone Change 2025-03 and CUP 2025-05. Start right off, where is this? The subject property is approximately 390 acres, 6.5 acres east of the intersection of State Route 89 and East Perkinsville Road, right at the outer eastern limits of town. Zoning for the property is single family residential 2-acre minimum. Best zoning is to the east and west of the property as well. To the south, you have an AR4 agricultural residential 4-acre minimum, state land in blue there, and more single family residential 2-acre minimum. To the north, you have unincorporated Yavapai County with the zoning classification of RCU 2A. That is more or less the equivalent of our SR2 district. The conditional use permit is a phased development, 4 phases total. Phase 1 is the airfield and basic aviation infrastructure. That will be your runway, your taxiway, and your tie downs. Phase 2 is the runway extension. This has potential to go in phase 1, given certain economic conditions. Mobilization of equipment is a lot cheaper to do it once versus twice. So that is consideration. Additional phase 1, additionally hangars in fire station. And 2, phase 3 and 4 are the aviation-related commercial and office space educational uses and long-term aviation research, manufacturing, sport activities, subject to future town review. That's the important part here is the conditional use permit is for the entirety phase 1, 2, 3, and 4. However, before each phase can begin construction, they will have to come back before council for a development agreement review and approval. So if the conditional use permit is approved, they cannot begin construction the next day. They have to come back, present the development agreement for review by council, consideration. AR-36. So previously, the AR-36 existed in town code, however, was removed in 2020 because no property in town carried that designation at the time. Following the adoption of the 2040 general plan, which redesignated much of the eastern Chino Valley from industrial and planned community to ranch agricultural, reinstating AR-36 became necessary to implement that land use category with the intention of utilizing this district originally to help implement utility scale solar. After the demise of utility scale solar, staff brought forward ordinance 2025-953 to formally reinstate AR-36. The ordinance was adopted following 2 public hearings. When reinstated, the district was made more restrictive, development standards were tightened, lot coverage was reduced from 50% to 15%. Side yard setbacks were increased, minimum frontage was increased, overall development intensities were reduced. Certain uses were removed, including feedlots, slaughterhouses, and fertilizer yards. Other uses consistent with large acre rural character, such as commercial ranches, stables, bed and breakfast inns, were added as permitted uses. Airports, aircraft landing fields, and ancillary buildings were added as a conditional use intentionally. The purpose of AR-36 is to accommodate uses that occupy large acreage land while preserving rural character through very low density and substantial setbacks. In certain circumstances, such as the project before you tonight, the property owner controls thousands of contiguous acres. That scale of ownership allows buffering to occur internally on property rather than shifting impact. Because AR 36 requires 36-acre minimum lots, large setbacks, and low lot coverage. It creates a land use pattern that structurally supports the separation. Structurally supports, ownership allows the buffer to occur in terms of the property, rather. Apologize, I take a breath here real quick. It creates a land use pattern that structurally supports separation and buffering. If a higher density rural use is ever to be considered, it must occur in the district that enforces large acreage and physical separation. AR 36 is that district. Importantly, airports are not permitted by right. They are required a conditional use permit, public hearing, and council discretion. Operational limits can be imposed, and in this case, they have. The reinstated district was not expanded in intensity. It was recalibrated to implement the ranch agricultural designation of the adopted general. General plan conformance. Under Arizona law, zoning decisions must conform to the adopted general plan. Conformance means the request must fall within the land use designation, density range, and policy framework established by that plan. The subject property is designated by ranch agriculture and on the future land use map. AR 36 directly implements that designation through 36-acre minimum lot size. The requested rezoning reduces theoretical residential density of 185 lots compared to the existing SR2 zoning. Lot coverage is reduced from 50% to 15%. Setbacks are increased. Development intensity is reduced, not expanded. The general plan references aviation in heavy industrial category. The reason for this is because the 2040 plan relies solely on our outdated zoning code, where aviation is also listed as a condition as an industrial district. However, the general plan does not operate as an exclusive zoning list. It does not prohibit aviation listed in other land use categories. The plan establishes policy direction and development character. It mandates specific use assignments. If that was the case, we would have been forced to accept utility scale solar from the general plan. Based on density, land use designation, and discretionary structure, staff finds the request conforms to the ranch and agricultural framework of the adopted general plan. Now, before you on the screen, you have two things: current conditions on site for the Prescott Airport. You'll see that in blue. You have their airspace, which is a 6-mile radius, along with 2 of their established corridors. The one that is more northeast, south, and west orienting is their arrival and departure corridor. For most of their flights, they funnel in there if you are landing to the southwest. And then to the north of the airspace circle, you have the northern departure corridor that's established that goes over the 7-Bar Ranch subdivision area. Additionally, on screen is the proposed project site with their airspace outlined in the orange red. Is approximately 2 miles in size. You have the touch and go patterns outlined in yellow, and then you have 2 proposed ingress egress points for air traffic. Through this process, the public hearing process, more information has come about as the applicant has more dialogue with FAA and Prescott Airport. There was confusion initially on how the airplanes were going to depart Prescott Airport and arrive at the airfield. The understanding at this point in time is that they will head north and essentially follow the pathway of Granite Creek Wash there, and then hit either the first ingress egress point there that is aligned with Perkinsville Road, or continue north, circle around Caseback, and enter in that north ingress egress exits points at the north end of the airspace. Flights versus touch and goes versus maneuvers versus operations. This has been a challenge as far as definitions for what these means different to a lot of people we've talked to, about an aviator, educator. Everybody seems to have a different understanding of what a flight truly is, or what a maneuver for an operation is. So throughout this process, we started with operations. We moved to touch and goes, as that seemed to be most consistently understood throughout all disciplines, defined as a single takeoff and landing. As part of the public hearing process, we did have those caps of daily, hourly, and annual limits. The daily limit of 110 per day
40 per hour, and then 40,150. These are a average that are calculated over a 3-year rolling average. And then a distribution on the left-hand side here, time period, percentage of operation representing the daily total. The hours of operation are from 5:30 to 11:30. However, the bulk Monday through Friday is 6 a.m. to noon. That's 75%. And then from noon to 8 p.m. they have the 20 to 30% of the remainder. Then they have holdovers from 5:30 to 6, and then 8 to 11. At the public hearing, beginning of this month, planning and zoning, we talked a lot about other airfields, airports within the White County jurisdiction. Baghdad, Seligman, not going to talk about Baghdad and Seligman tonight. Really just want to focus on Cottonwood, specifically because of the impact that their airport has to their community. Because it's not only Cottonwood, it's also White County and Clarkdale as well. And I think it's important to let you guys know that if this level of intensity that is shown on Cottonwood's end was what this project was, we would not be having this conversation tonight, or at least staff would not be bringing this project forward with support. Within a 2-mile radius, which you're seeing on the screen here, the Cottonwood Municipal Airfield, or excuse me, airport is in the middle. Within a 2-mile radius of that, there are 8,089 buildings that are greater than 800 square feet in size. Now, we don't have access to all of the data over the hill there, but the understanding or the assumption being made by staff here is that these buildings, if they're over 800 square feet, there's some sort of occupancy. And then judging by the layout, if you can kind of see street layouts and overall communities, a lot of that is found within residential subdivisions. To continue on that here, the information on the screen in front of you is from vvair.org. Council, if you were public, if you have not been checking this website out, it's fairly good representation of what the communities of Cottonwood, Clarkdale, Yavapai County, that area are experiencing these impacts based on the Cottonwood Municipal Airport. Up on the top right-hand screen there is what my assumption is of a typical day for the Cottonwood Airport. They have 6 planes currently in formation on the top touch and go operations there. 4 of them, I believe, are in the middle of the remainders. Not quite sure based on their tags. Or you have 6 in that span. The runway itself is located on the left side there, where they can all come together. And then with this 6 plane formation, they span out about 1.5 miles either side from the takeoff points and then the touchdown points. And then on the left-hand side of your screen here is a compilation of the complaints that whether it is through that VDAir received, whether it's Cottonwood, Clarkdale, FAA, Embry-Riddle, and they're all found generally here as represented on this map within 1.5 miles, predominantly at the outlets north and south of the airfield itself within those established subdivisions. Now, it's important to kind of just reframe this here because there's a ton of density when you look at this for Cottonwood. Now, when we look at it for what the proposed site is here, you have a similar distribution on site for the radius. You have a 1 mile and a 2 mile distribution. The airspace itself is shown in red. You have buildings, all buildings within 2 miles are shown on here, but the counts are given for in red, buildings greater than 800 square feet. You have the touch and go pattern outlined in yellow. You have the 2 loops, a north and a south loop. You have the town of Chino Valley boundaries, the proposed Perkins ingress and egress points, airspace, parcels, and then overall parcel ownership based by the large landowners within this 2 mile radius of Perkins and state. So within 1 mile, the overlaps directly with the touch and go pattern. There are 0 developed parcels within that 1 mile radius. If you expand that out to 2, you have 15 total developed parcels, and within there are 32 buildings greater than 800 square feet. And within that 2 miles, you have a sale barn, Garchin Lewis Institute, Haystack, And then you have 8 individual home sites that are not associated with a planned development. Through this process as well, the original understanding was the touch and go operation would be primarily limited to the southern loop. However, additional conversations between the applicants, FAA, Prescott Airport, and then just overall consideration for impact. The loop of choice essentially will be the north loop with a southwest departure. So essentially they'll run clockwise on that north loop to where the only direct flight, or excuse me, the only direct property that they pass over directly that is developed would be the sail arm. Their takeoffs would be to the southwest. Again, this is what is permitted. It's when they're the loudest. You'll have the engine noise heading to the southwest there over the undeveloped land. And then they will aim to the north, run their circuit, and then as they come in for their landing, they'll decelerate over the mostly impacted part or most impacted portions within the 2-mile radius here. Fire protection. So the big one, cap and boundary and service models. Remember, we originally started this coming in for the submittal back in October. The original understanding was that this was actually in cap and service area. It is not. So the project site is outside of the cap and district boundaries. Most of the eastern portion of Chino Valley is. However, once it was discovered that Captain does not service automatically out here, there was talk of annexation into it. However, we all know where that went. It became a conversation of how do we get Captain out there? How does that impact residents and non-residents with increased taxes? So the idea that they are in discussion right now with CAFMA is a direct service contract between the airfield and CAFMA itself, much like Garden Buddhist and the Haystack residents on screen here. You can see that to the northeast and to the northwest. Those are not direct annexations. They are contract services for CAFMA, similar to Paulding, then some even north end and Prescott Valley that has that as well. So for the fiscal impact on this, this is probably one of the most important pieces of this, that the airfield ultimately results in paying for fire protection services directly in this contract. So it is not through a taxation of the entire CAFMA district. It is a separate contract specific between CAFMA and the airfield that they would work out and ultimately have their price. This direction will ultimately result in a district-wide tax increase. Additionally, this contract would be stipulated to start with the development agreement for phase 1. So there will be fire protection in place before any ground movement would be occurring. Additional considerations, wildlife coordination. We had early coordination with game and fish. They have confirmed there's a 30-page report with game and fish as part of the staff report. They are following the best management practices, and then additionally, development of this project allows for remaining Perkins acreage to be continued to use as the rangeland. Lighting, all lights will be dark sky compliant apart from the FAA mandated safety lighting. Runway lights are highly activated and only on when in use. They're automatically turned off, I believe, that 10 to 15 minutes after they're no longer in use. They automatically turn off. Then overall environmental compliance, EAGLE, FAA's initiative targeting a transition to unleaded aviation fuel by the year 2030. ERAU cycles out older airplanes for newer ones approximately every 4 years. So with that, the recommendation before council is to open a public hearing, collect public input, close the public hearing. Turn it over to council.
Thank you, Will. At this time, I'm going to open the public hearing.
Oh my God, please, nightmare. First is Lynn Major, yes, town resident, Board of Finance.
Mayor and council members, my name is Lynn Mayer. I am proud to say I am Tom and Marge Perkins' second child. I was raised in Perkinsville and in Chino Valley. I remember clearly my parents constantly supporting the businesses of the town of Chino Valley and its K-9 school, Dad serving on the school board and Mom on PTA in the classrooms and in the lunchroom. They love their community and they love their friends. My dad's ranch, Perkins Ranch, was passed down to him by his father and grandfather. He worked many long hours to preserve it and endure many trials, the worst being the loss of his son. My dad provided feed and water for his cattle, which in turn watered the wildlife, including the pronghorn. The Perkins Ranch land is one of the last ranches around this area that provides for wildlife. Many of the others have been developed. A good portion of the homes and businesses you see in the town today were not there during my father's or my childhood. Many people have moved into Chino Valley and have built homes surrounding Perkins Ranch, taking up the land and water for the wildlife, for which some now are so vehemently fighting. In fact, we used to drive cattle alongside a beautiful mountain on top of which the Guardian Institute developed their retreat. Did the Perkins family ever protest against any of this growth? The answer is no. One question I overheard posed was, what's in it for the Perkins? Is this really anyone's business? Have the Perkins asked the Guardian Institute or families building their new homes or new businesses what's in it for them? No. The Perkins land has been in the family for many years, land for which we have worked tirelessly. My parents annexed our land into the town to benefit the future of Chino Valley, its people, and their children, because Chino Valley is our home too. So the question is, or the questions are, will Chino Valley invest in this opportunity put before it, an opportunity for the town to create high-value local employment while preserving the rural character that makes the town so special, and while maintaining a good portion of the land that will continue to feed and water our wildlife? Will the town see its rare chance to secure economic growth, to strengthen the tax base, and to provide educational opportunities and economic stability? Everyone, including our youth, needs a purpose in life. I believe the Perkins Ranch Airfield and Amarillo can provide this for them. Without, can I finish my sentence? Without a purpose can only lead to depression and addiction, to which Chino and its surrounding areas are not immune. I wholeheartedly support this airfield because what I believe can bring to our community.
Next is Danny Major. I guess it's some residents for the project.
Yeah. Read fast, Dad.
My name is Dan, Mayor and Council members. My name is Dan Manger. I grew up on a ranch in the north part of the county. My wife, Lynn, and I used the historic Granite Dells Ranch. It lies between Lonesome Valley, lies in Lonesome Valley between the Perkins Ranch to the north, Bain Ranch to the south, Deepwell Ranch to the west. To the east are numerous subdivisions that were part of the old Coyote Springs Ranch. I have owned cattle on Granite Dells since 2005. For 21 years, I have seen much data of all these ranches being developed and subdivided and sold to people that want to live in this beautiful valley. One of the best grass production areas in the state of Arizona. Birds of pronghorn have habitated and still do this grassland since the area was settled along with cattle. The biggest threat to my ranching experience has been from the public who have moved here, and many who do not respect private and state grazing land that I lease. Fences are being cut, gates left open, people riding their quads side by sides, and horses uninvited, and unleashed dogs that are chasing cattle on the ranches because many people today do not respect the rules. Many of them are jealous because they think that no one should own this much acreage, and that it should all be open to the public. In reality, growth and development in the area will not stop because too many people want to live here. My wife Lynn is the daughter of Tom and Marge Perkins, one of 6 siblings. I've commuted her at the ranch while purchasing Perkins Ranch cows, and we were married in 1996. We moved back to the area in 2002 out of the development of Dennis Brothers, who managed the ranch for the family till his death in February of 2000. Ben and I managed the ranch for the next 20 years. Tom Perkins told me how much of the history of his family when he purchased this land. I drove their cattle from West Texas and settled here in 1900. He and Marge Perkins scratched out a living and raised 6 children on the local railroad house in the Verde River at Perkinsville. They built this house and they moved to Chino. They built this house on the east side of Chino off Perkinsville Road and moved to make it easier for their children to attend school. Tom and Marge have always been pillars of the community, serving in various capacities. Embry-Riddle University is nationally known as becoming more popular all the time. They need a new location to train their pilots on a small airfield on the northeast side of the valley, away from most of the current subdivisions. The Preston Airport has become very crowded, and soon larger jets will make safety a bigger issue. Therefore, I am pleased to support this airfield and Embry-Riddle's vision to create a local aviation campus. It offers economic opportunity, educational benefits, and a path forward to preserving the local heritage while responsibly developing a small portion of the ranch. Thank you for your time.
Next is Betty Schrader, yes, town resident for the project. Schrader.
Mayor and councilman, my name is Debbie Strader. I am a 4th generation Perkins and married to a 20+ year Army veteran. I am proud of my family heritage. Each generation has contributed to the success of Chino Valley. We are providing one solution to help strengthen our tax base. Instead of running on a stretched budget, if we were to lose the grocery tax, our town employees can look forward to performance raises instead of pink slips. I believe we have good, hardworking employees, but there is only so much they can do with limited department budgets. Infrastructure can be improved upon and extended. The town could enclose the swimming pool so it could be used year-round for all ages without raising fees. All businesses owners could look forward to increased patronage and sales. The airfield will eventually attract a skilled workforce. Embry-Riddle is a world-renowned university bringing world-class aviation training and STEM education, which can provide Chino Valley residents pathways to high-paying careers. While attending Embry-Riddle, students could find housing in Chino Valley, shop, eat, and bring family for weekend visits. My brother Tom, with his military and aviation expertise, will oversee this project. We look forward to a long and successful partnership with Chino Valley. I ask council to please approve the funding and associated CUP. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is Robert Schrader Jr., yes, town resident for the project.
Mayor and Council, thank you for this opportunity. For questions. I am a resident of Chino Valley. On September 11th, 2001, do you guys remember what happened? There were no planes in the sky. The silence was it. When I hear and see any and all aircraft, I hear and see freedom. I don't understand why a few want to tear down the community rather than build it up. Growth is inevitable in all projects, and this project is too important for the young families and the youth of Chino Valley. I think the residents who work hard and are raising their young families are too busy to come to these meetings. This proposal is an exceptional opportunity to train students in many fields. There is more to this world than our little corner of it. Please don't deny the future of the generations that come after us. Let's do this. I support the proposal of Perkins Airfield as a citizen of Chino Valley. This will be a great achievement from our town council and to our town of Chino Valley, Arizona. Thank you all for your consideration in this matter.
Next is Barbara Wood, not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project. I'll give up my time ready. You want to speak? I'll give up my time for this, since there's so many others. But there is no sharing the time. I understand. Okay. David. Hayo, Howie, Jessica, Chino resident, against. HALLE, David. We can't hear it.
David Hale, HALLE, is that you, sir?
Yes.
No.
Here, council, I think you'd love to see at this time. I'm against this project. I do not support placing high intensity repetitive flight training operations directly over the established residential and agricultural communities. My home is in the flight path, and I'm not willing to sacrifice my peace and enjoyment of the home for this project, no matter the financial gains that happen. Touch and go training is not occasional aircraft traffic. It is repeated cycle again and again. Under this proposal, that could occur approximately 17 hours a day, every 5 minutes. For those directly in the flight path like myself, this will not be background noise. It will be dominant noise. I did not agree to this when I purchased my home in 2024. This is not a mild inconvenience. It is sustained and cumulative disruption. For residents directly beneath approach and departure corridors, there will be no meaningful recovery window between noise events. Every few minutes, the cycle restarts. Chronic aircraft noise exposure has been associated with elevated stress, increased blood pressure, cardiovascular strain, sleep fragmentation, and anxiety. Surrounding communities, many located just outside city limits, will be heavily affected. Those residents may not all vote in town election, but they live under the same sky and will experience the same disruption. Mayor and council members, you're elected to represent the residents of Chino Valley. Under ARS section 9461.05, planning and zoning decisions must promote public health, safety, convenience, and general welfare. This is a statutory obligation. You carry the fiduciary responsibility to act in the best interest of constituents, not outside institutions, not projected revenue streams, but the people who live here. The Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects residents from government action that substantially interferes with the use and enjoyment of private property. Article 2, Section 17 of the Arizona Constitution provides similar protection against property being taken for advantage. Residents have a right to reasonable, quiet enjoyment of their homes and ranches. Any projected financial benefit must be weighed against declining property values, health impacts, legal exposure. The long-term community costs far outweighs any projected financial gain. I ask that you fulfill your duty to protect health, property rights, and peace. Slow the process down. Send mailers to all the Chino Valley residences, especially those on the flight path. Require independent studies, evaluate alternatives. Stand with your constituents, protect our homes, protect our ranches, and preserve the peace that defines Chino. Thank you.
Next is John Wood.
Continue it, you'll be asked to leave.
Next is John Wood, not a ton of Chino Valley resident against the project. After that will be Barbara Manning.
Mayor, council, I moved here about 8 years ago. We live in Antelope Meadows. Even as we speak today and tonight, in this afternoon, Embry River was flying planes over our home all afternoon. Your new airport apparently is going to be closer than the one they take off on. So I am completely against it. I believe it will lower our residential property values, and we came out here with a piece, and we will continue to enjoy the piece if you make the right choice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
My name is Barbara Banning. I started coming out to Chino Valley in 1999 with the very beginning of the Archon Institute. I saw large herds of pronghorns and vast areas without telephone poles or fences. Even today, 27 years later, Google states, quote, Chino Valley is known for peaceful rural atmosphere, wide open spaces, agriculture, and cowboy culture. 2 months ago, I heard on NPR a short piece that Chino Valley had bought land that had been owned by the Fred Harvey Corporation, and that there were plans to highlight local history and create a museum. I was so happy for Chino Valley when I heard this. Then, a week or so later, I heard that the plan for changing zoning and creating an airfield had come back. I thought to myself, who would want to go to a museum in Chino Valley with loud specimens flying potentially from 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.? I learned that the town had bought the Fred Harvey farm December 10th, 2024, fairly recently. I also learned that the town has been raising money to preserve the buildings to become a future museum site. In addition, a grant was obtained by Chino Valley from the Trust for Public Land. The grant came with a commitment from the town to maintain the historical nature of the Fred Harvey farm. Would that grant be compromised by the airfield proposal? A friend who lives 300 yards from the Hollywood Airport tells me that the loudest planes there are from Amory Riddle. They are Cessnas without mufflers. She said, Henry Riddle is not a good neighbor. The history of Chino Valley is at a turning point, either to protect the peaceful rural atmosphere or to destroy it. When a place is known for peace and quiet, great noise destroys it. The character of that place is gone. A further point to consider, airports are one of the 3 main places that forever chemicals are found. Vote no for the Perkins Ranch Airfield. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is Sharon Nance, yes, a town resident against the project, followed by Susan Johnson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Sharon Nance. I am a resident of Chino Valley. When you step back and look at the full picture of this project, it is not a typical private airstrip. Facility doing approximately 80,000 touch and go maneuvers a year is considered a high intensity training operation and is generally expected to function more like a small airport. At that level of use, FAA safety guidance calls for proper runway safety areas, coordinated communications, emergency response planning, and reliable all-weather access so fire and rescue can reach the site quickly. Right now, the only access roads turn to mud in heavy rains. They flood and they have no bridge, meaning emergency vehicles may not even be able to reach it when needed. If a fire station is part of the justification, it would also require dependable, year-round access for engines to respond to calls, not a dirt road that becomes impassable. Heavy training operations also typically require infrastructure such as lighting, safety equipment, and formal FAA review and registration because they no longer function like a simple private airstrip. And importantly, the responsibility for bringing roads, bridges, and safety infrastructure up to standard normally falls on the operator or developer. This isn't just about one runway. It's about the reality that a high-volume training airstrip carries airport-level safety expectations, and the current access, infrastructure, and emergency readiness what would normally be expected for a facility of this scale. The residents of Chino Valley and the surrounding area are overwhelmingly do not want this airstrip. Please respect and follow the opinions and wishes of the constituents that voted you into office and vote no at the joint council meeting tomorrow. Thank you.
Susan, the town of Chino Valley residents against the project.
Hi, Mayor and council members. My name is Susan Johnson. Chino Valley has been our home for 21 years. I came here today to share comments from the Clarkdale town representatives that were presented to the Yavapai Board of Supervisors at a meeting last April 2nd, 2025, concerning the impact Emeryville has had on their residents. Each of you were emailed a link to that meeting. I think it paints a picture of what our future will be like if you approve Emeryville's expansion request. The Clarkdale mayor and town officials are on record as saying, and I quote, Emeryville is a bad neighbor. Having the delays of their 50,000 flights per year has been unacceptable and extremely detrimental to the economic sustainability of our town. We have had businesses choose not to open or start because of it. We went to the extent of hiring an FAA consultant to advise us on how to negotiate better flight-friendly rules. We have been completely ignored by Emeryville, and it is decimating our community. They need to have more flights in Baghdad and Slickman and find another airstrip that does not impact a residential area. End quote. If they cannot be a good neighbor to Parkdale, why do you think that they will be a good neighbor to Chino Valley? The Parkdale residents most affected live 2 to 6 miles away from the Parkdale Airport. Chino Valley Library is about 6 miles away from the proposed airstrip. Most of Chino Valley residents on the east side of town and at least to the center of town has noticed and heard quite a few more Emeryville planes in the past couple of weeks. Imagine what it would be like to have 40,000 of these flights to start off with, 110 per day, every single day. How many flights would there be next year or in 5 years from now? But this is where Chino Valley is different than Cottonwood. Cottonwood Airport was developed originally in 1929. Communities of Cottonwood and Parkdale were incorporated between 1957 and 1960 around the Cottonwood Airport and eventually sprawling into what they have today. Chino Valley was officially incorporated as a municipality in 1970. It's like yesterday. We do not have an airport here, nor do we want one. Sure, there are small former ranch land strips still in the area that were grandfathered in, many of which are no longer operational. Nor do they produce 110 flights into our town every single day. Many of us are not against growth, but it has to be smart growth that aligns with the general plan. Nowhere in that plan says that we want an airfield with at least 110 flights to pop up in our backyard. Their airfield needs to be away from residential properties. It is the only right thing to do. This issue needs to be voted on by the residents of Chino Valley as it will affect all of us. Thank you.
Next is Gary Beverly, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Marcy Harris.
Mayor and Council, my name is Gary Beverly. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I lived in Chino Valley for 52 years on Granite Lane, overlooking the grassland where this airport is proposed. Now, first, I want to say that I support our ranchers and I respect their heritage here in town. It pains me a little bit to have to disagree with Majors and Perkins on this, but I do disagree. I think we need to keep Chino rural and we need to vote on the airport. I'm really strongly opposed to it for several reasons. Number one, I enjoy open space and quiet. The airport will destroy that. There have been some decibel tests quoted. These are useless. Decibels test measure sound pressure. They don't measure annoyance. For example, have you ever had a cricket in the house at midnight? No. How many decibels do you think that is? Second reason, this is a slippery slope. There are 4 phases leading to an industrial park. Jupiter phase 1, phases 2, 3, and 4 are just going to slide right in. You need to consider the long impacts and keep Chino rural. The town council doesn't have adequate information on this. You need a detailed study of the impacts on Pronghorn and Borough Gals. There's no independent financial analysis. If you consider how the airport will impact the existing Chino Valley business park, all the town's business park hasn't been successful so far. This airport park, business park will kill it. The council denied 2 solar utilities because they were not compatible with the rural character of our town. This airport is far less compatible than those solar things would be. The council needs to be consistent in its decisions. Go down to Chino rural. This is a big deal and a high issue, and you guys don't know what to see. And I appreciate your service to our town. Lots of folks are riled up against this airport thing. Best thing you can do is vote no. The next best thing you can do is put the question on the ballot. Let the people decide. If you approve the airport, we will complete a referendum to put it on the ballot. We have formed a political action committee called Keep Chino Rural. We have a Facebook page of over 800 followers. We have funds. We have a GoFundMe. We have an attorney. We only need 346 signatures to put this on the ballot. And we'll do it. We're ready to go. And to the audience, you're all welcome to help. See us outside. So I would say vote no or put it on the ballot. Save us all a lot of trouble. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Marcy, is the town of Chino Valley resident for the project? Hi, thanks for letting me speak. My name is Marcy Harris. I am a resident of Chino Valley. I was raised here. I went to school here and have a business here. And I wonder how many people who are actual residents of Chino Valley oppose this, really. How many they are actually residents who vote for Chino Valley, who pay taxes in Chino Valley. Everyone here who complain about the roads, we don't have enough money, we currently don't have enough jobs for our young people. My question is, what would you rather have an airstrip that leaves the wide open spaces that you talked about earlier, or have more housing to suck up more and more of our natural resources and drive the housing market up so high where we or our children won't be able to afford homes here? We need some form of industry, or we're not going to have any jobs to support our young people. Or we will be a retirement community that will vote down every school bond. To the council, I urge you to be pro-Chino instead of outside influences.
Thank you.
Next is Al Gibbons, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident, against the project, followed by Ruth Mayday.
Say thank you to the mayor for having this meeting. This is what America is about. It's honestly action. I very much appreciate that. And we can be counted with it in advance. I came prepared to talk about capital expense. It's been a long time to search that. Really glad to see that somewhere a decision has been made that taxpayers will not be paying for anything with capital. I don't know how that, make sure that happens. It's that. Anyway, so I'm gonna keep it minimal because very rarely is letters that covers some great points. Basically, I've been here in this town 26 years and I moved to Prescott in 1972. So I've been around in politics and how it goes. Whatever president votes, they get it seems. So they got a water, we've inherited a homeless, they want us to inherit the cycle traffic. Publications say that they're the 4th busiest airport in this nation. That seems hard to believe, because that's what publications say. How much of that is going to come over here? They're going to be in top 100 after that. But they're dumping their garbage on the city. They maxed out the airport, the whole private plane ownership, upset about it. The training schools over there are upset about it. They want to do a little bit of also.
They maxed out the school in Florida. They came arrested and maxed out here. It's time to move on to a whole other school on campus somewhere else. They're planning ahead of time. They could have come here at the very beginning, but they probably would have gotten whatever they want because they paid millions of dollars in sales tax to Preston. Now Preston, the development over here. They're laughing at us. I honestly think that. And I agree, we need to vote on this. Either vote no or end it now. This is kind of an insanity thing to get all these other communities that have been complaining about, to bring it here. What you think we won't have the same problems as these other communities already have. It's a great place to live. We're going to keep it here. Yes, you have to buy shock absorbers and springs more often, but it's a great place to live. We appreciate it. I really appreciate having us. Thank you. Thank you.
Ruth is a town resident against the project.
My name is Ruth Mayday. I recently retired as the assistant town manager in the community development director. And I also served as a community development director here for 3 years. I live in the Playtech. I've experienced firsthand disruption and disruptive repetitive fights and investment folks can have on a community. They're loud in their assessment. Every group has ignored the effects of these fights at Buckdale and did nothing to send lanes to Seligman or Baghdad to offer any relief. They may agree to restrictions, but they will not abide by them. Arizona provides statute 462.01 requires that all zoning and rezoning ordinances and regulations conform to the adopted general plan. An ordinance conforms to the land use element if it proposes land uses, densities, or intensities within those identified land uses, densities, or intensities set forth in the land use element of the general plan. Ranch agricultural uses, densities, and intensities are a continuation of rural agricultural functions customary in Chino Valley on large parcels. Areas that should not be developed until 2040. Detached single-family homes and acres, garage sheds, farm silos, agricultural structures, storage and use of farm equipment, implements, vehicles, and materials, livestock, animals, pastures, croplands, vineyards, acres, sheep farms, solar energy development, agritourism, and agricultural product and retail sales. Nowhere in this description is it mentioned an airport or commercial industrial uses. The proposed uses do not at all conform with those set forth in the general plan, and the subject property is not included in the future developed growth areas identified in the land use element, nor is this action supported by any of the rules and policies set forth in the plan. In a conversation with the elected official recently, he questioned why there were not more people speaking out. They already have. Council approved and the voters overwhelmingly ratified the general plan, which sets forth the vision of the entire community with respect to future development. This is their statement. This is them speaking out. They've made their voices clear. They don't need to show up at every public hearing to reiterate it. I understand firsthand the difficulty with economic development in Chino Valley and growth in general development overall. However, non-compliance with statutory requirements and approving projects that fly in the face basic planning principles is not the way to achieve that. I ask that you respect the statutory requirements and reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is Donna Woods, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by David Frey.
Mayor and members of the town council. My name is Donna Woods. My husband Jared Woods and I moved here in 2003 after a very difficult time in our lives. I just lost my brother to cancer at 41 years old. We made the decision to leave the city and move to a quiet rural community where we could heal, slow down, and focus on what truly matters. We brought our 2 children and our 4 horses, choosing this town for its open space, clean air, dark skies, and peace. Jerry served 30 years as a firefighter with Anaheim Fire and Rescue. For decades, he lived with constant noise, sirens, alarms, people screaming, running into burning buildings at all hours of the day and night. He gave his career to serving others. When he retired, he wanted something simple, quiet, That is why we came here. Now we're hearing aircraft throughout the day and night. This proposed airfield is approved for touch and go training. That noise will increase dramatically. These are not occasional flights. They are repetitive takeoffs and landings, aircraft circling over our homes again and again. Beyond the noise, there are health concerns. Many small training aircraft still use leaded aviation fuel, adding air pollution to a rural community where families, children, and animals live. There is also the stress and anxiety caused by constant noise, disrupted sleep, and the loss of our dark skies from runway lighting and rotating beacon. This would permanently change the character of our town we choose to raise our children in. We are not against aviation, but this is not the right location for a high-frequency training airfield. After a lifetime of service, Jerry deserves peace. Our children deserve to grow up in peace, and this community deserves protection. I respectfully ask that you reject this proposed airfield. Thank you.
David is the town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
Knowledgeable people here. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen. I understand the same attempt failed in 2007 because of pushback from residents. Now residents are pushing back because of unacceptable noise, decreased property value, and only environmental concerns. Respectively. Well, this is supposed to be my wrap up, but I pushed it to the front in case I run over. We have an option one. A no vote from the city council on all phases will end this. Now, option two, yes, so the trigger referendum will be 384 from your office. Signatures will bring this issue to a referendum in November. And this will end up on the ballot. Option three, the council itself votes to defer this and put it on the ballot for the residents of Chino Valley to vote. Some people hit on this, let's talk a little bit more about lead. With lead, these tiny particles can be inhaled, causing reversible damage in children's developing lungs, lowering IQ, causing cardiovascular issues, kidney damage, and nervous system damage in adults. Other ingredients in this fuel are highly toxic to humans and listed as potential carcinogens. They can also persist in soil and aquifers for decades. EPA found that lead emissions contribute to a dangerous source of air pollution. The FAA, through the EAGLE program, which was mentioned before, is actively working to get rid of this leaded fuel and switch to unleaded fuel by 2030. The fuel will be away, just like it was the government eliminated fuel in 1996. The older planes need lead until the engines are replaced or rebuilt or replaced with new airplanes. This is like in the automobile industry 30 years ago, and you can still buy lead on the shelf at the auto parts. And it's not going away. Exhaust is heavier than air, and travels for miles. In this case, the property rights of one do not override the property rights of the many. The council needs to do its right. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. Thank you.
Next is Diane Audette, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Charles Taylor.
Good evening, my name is Diane Audette, and I've been a resident of Chino Valley for 18 years. I currently live in the Perkins Ranch subdivision. I am totally opposed to this air park project. Quite frankly, I can't even understand how it was passed by P&Z. It in no way aligns with the town's general plan and will change Chino Valley from a quiet rural community to a busy aviation town. The number of airplanes that will be flying over our homes from 5:30 in the morning until 11 p.m. at night is just insane. In addition to the constant noise from the airplanes, other negative impacts from this project will be the pollution from the lead fuel, fire hazards, wildlife, additional taxes, and also the Garchin Institute. I've been here 18 years, but I moved about a year ago to downsize, and I received this nice welcome and relocation guide in the mail after I moved. As I'm looking through this and read it, it talks about maintaining our rural heritage and culture, enjoying outdoor activities, breathing fresh air in wide open spaces under blue skies. It also states that even though Chino Valley is a fast-growing town, we are committed to preserving a rural lifestyle. These are direct quotes from you, Mayor, in this. This is what you are using to entice people to move to Chino Valley. I couldn't find anything in this guide that talks about Chino Valley being an upcoming aviation town with Embry-Riddle training and future commercial airport. Town council, the residents of Chino Valley voted for you and have an expectation that you will listen to their concerns and do what's best for the community. I don't understand how this lines up with the general plan that was voted for by the residents, or how this airport fits in with our rural community. Town council, please, 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 listen to your people. Listen to the residents of Clarkdale and Cottonwood, and how the Embry-Riddle training facilities in their towns have ruined the quality of life. I pray that you will do the right thing for your people and vote no and stop this now. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Charles is the town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
Mr. Mayor, council members, I want to make this short and simple. My name's Charles. I'm a veteran. And Vietnam, and I'm also a PTS person. I have and the first thing I want to say is traffic on Perkins Road. Right now, we're at a stress point. The traffic there is terrible. This airport is going to increase the traffic without any changes made to the roads, other than around the airport itself. The second thing I want to talk about is noise. I've worked in mental health for the last 15 years, working with veterans with PTSD. The noise from the airport is not going to help these people in any way. It will trigger more PTSD episodes. I hope you all know on this situation. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Next is Lee Bowman, not Matona Chino Valley resident, against the project, followed by Tim Clark.
I'm gonna shut mine anyway. Met with folks out in parking lot, we prayed ahead of this, gathering. And rather than reading everything I wrote, I am just hoping the Lord will put words in my mouth that help. And I'm sorry, very emotional. I lost my brother in January, and my mom and I have to say that a lot going on. This just adds one more layer of excitement for me. And we moved into this area about 25 years ago. And I lived in town of Prescott Valley and ended up living in what became one of the busiest intersections roughly that there is behind the Fry's grocery store at Highway 69 and Glassford Hill Road, the highest traffic road. And the stress and strain was too much. I'm one of those individuals affected by noise pollution more so than some. And we picked a rural outlying area to still participate in town of Prescott Valley and yet be away from more of the noise and participate in a rural lifestyle. And we were in Coyote Springs, where I'm very back end of it. And I'm feeling like this falls almost in a bait and switch kind of category where we thought we were moving away from noise, moving into a rural subdivision on acreage to get away from more of the noise. And with the potential of this proposal going through, our noise is going to be so much worse than it was where we were at before. So I am asking you to vote no on this airfield that really, in my mind, qualifies as an airport. I know that an airport, well, you could argue that flying is about collecting money to fly passengers from place A to place B for profit. They are charging tuition for flights for students to fly from place A down to place B repetitively, touching going there and then returning to place A. But I would still argue that it falls into commercial, and this is not what we need in that location. And ask you to please vote no.
Thank you, Ben.
Tim is not a town of Chino Valley resident and neutral on the project.
Evening, folks, thank you. Here's some new pertinent and factual information you might add a new dimension. Just last Tuesday, 5 FAA officials formally imposed on Embry-Riddle's flight department a 90-day, quite fast in this field, a 90-day deadline to comply with minimum safe altitude regulations after concluding frequent violations have been occurring for years over Preston Heights. That's a large neighborhood surrounding Taylor Hicks Elementary School, where hundreds of us have endured this extended risk and nuisance, even 5+ air miles from the airport. I'll detail now only the applicant's record of community relations and responsiveness in this case, since the particular safe altitude violations should finally end soon, and inevitable issues affecting your citizens will surely differ anyway. What is certain to affect this whole community for the life of this airstrip is the applicant's community relations and responsiveness. Since some mistakes are likely inevitable from time to time, when those happen, community relations and responsiveness can either help affected citizens feel respected, then correct problems in a timely fashion, or they can leave even the hundreds of my neighbors and me feeling totally disrespected for years, along with the city of Prescott officials I enlisted to help, until the FAA of all people finally overruled their ignorance of our concerns. Therefore, councilors, in addition to the details I submitted last week in writing, I respectfully recommend that you pause your final decision until 1, data accumulates proving the FAA's latest demands are reliably met in our neighborhood. Until 2, that data source is published regularly, somewhere that's searchable by any affected citizens for ongoing accountability. And 3, until provisions for good responsiveness to this community's inevitable concerns are guaranteed in writing, in your conditional use permit, with consequences spelled out for failing to meet reasonable expectations. Just 11 more weeks seems worth waiting for that kind of trustworthiness. Thank you.
Next is Tim Bowman, Monotone Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Chris Peroni.
Good evening. Just want to say a couple of things here real quick, and I'm not a resident, but I am the neighbors. And there's a lot of us who are your neighbors right now. And to the Perkins family and all the relatives and all the good families, your farming, your ranching, and everything, 110% support you. Your water lines, 110% support you. All your agricultural activities, absolutely positively. You know, my idea of an airfield is something like I see on the other ranches, the farmers and ranchers come in and they fly helicopters out and they fly their planes out. They chase the livestock around and they're actively involved and engaged in their day-to-day activities that they're involved in. Unfortunately, what we're looking at is not that, it's something much bigger. This is a full-blown, 100% commercial operation. And as one of your neighbors, I am begging you to please reconsider and look at this for what it is and not for what it is. The sound will not stop at the little magic lines on the screens that we're looking at. The sound will penetrate far beyond that. The ongoing noise pollution and the other things that everybody has so eloquently said will go on forever. I know I'm reading this just a little bit, but I want to refer to kind of my Tom Howell here. This is not a direct quote, but I think you'll get the gist of it. In your words here, rural preservation, new zoning conforming to rural preservation. I know they're not the exact words, and I'm not the best speaker, but I beg of you, as one of your neighbors who lives in the Fallout area, we live in the deep end of Calgary Springs. We moved out there for a rural lifestyle. We support the rural lifestyle. Chino Valley is a very special town. It is very special. It is not trusted. It is not trusted valley. So I beg of you, if nothing else, take this to a vote of your citizens in your community, not just for your neighbor's sake, but for your community's sake. And God bless each and every one of you, and may you all prosper and live a very long life. And thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to voice this here on this open forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chris Monotone Chino Valley resident against the project.
Please stand again.
Good evening. My name is Chris Brown. I live in Antelope Meadows, in unincorporated by town. My back fence is Chino Valley in the Perkins Ranch. The proposed airport and commercial phases are approximately 1.6 miles from my back fence, and as well as over 100 homes in the direct flight path proposed. I would like to go back a bit in time to 2007. The Perkins wanted a rezone of 1,100 acres for an airport. This was met with much opposition from residents, council, planning and zoning, and was ultimately denied for lack of permits. For breaking a runway without authorization was done. Opposition from residents concerned over noise, safety, hazards, pollution, and environmental concerns that would threaten the Verde Valley River headwaters. At that time, it was determined it was unsuitable for the area and ultimately denied. Fast forward to 2026. What has changed? Well, there are now 5 neighborhoods, with approximately 300-400 homes and families that will be directly impacted by low-flying aircraft noise for 18 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I mentioned up to 40,000 noise a year. I am also concerned that there have been a lot of changes here and sneaking around with planning and zoning. If you look at page 3 of the pamphlet that I have in my speech, you'll notice a text that is sent by Will Dean to partner with ERAU Flight Department Chair. I'm not going to take the time to read that, but I hope we will. It shows the scene. I would also hope you will be aware and recognize that if approval for this airport is granted and the club is approved, Chino Valley, ERAU, and the Perkins Family LLC will be liable for violating the Arizona nuisance law. Specifically, you'll be creating a nuisance. Revised statute title 13 law states subsection 13 to 2917 to be injurious to health, indeed indecent, offensive to the senses or obstruction to the free use of property that interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life and property by an entire community or neighborhood, or by any consideration number of persons. This makes all entities of the proposed liable in any and all loose lawsuits that may be brought forth to anyone who is affected. From what I have heard, many have already obtained counsel. This is against the general plan for Chino Valley, as written and passed. Thank you for your time, and please vote no. Good for Chino Valley.
Next is Susie Simon, not the Chino Valley resident, against the project, followed by Frank Sorry.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. My name is Susie Seaman, and I reside in unincorporated Yavapai County. I'm opposed to the airfield. It has been floated around that in later phases, this airfield, aka airport, will create 300 jobs, but it ignores reality. Most positions at a flight training operation are specialized and are typically filled by people already connected to Embry-Riddle, not local hires. Time-filling positions are not long-term careers that put down roots. What is permanent is the impact, consistent training patterns, constant training patterns, hundreds of low-altitude flights daily and thousands yearly. Annoying noise over existing neighborhoods and reduced quality of life. Thousands of people who already live here and pay taxes. Economic growth should not come at the expense of the people and communities that are already established. This isn't about being against jobs or growth. It's about whether this is the right type of development in the right location. I don't believe this is the best location for this airfield. If I had chosen to move to Antelope Meadows with an existing airfield, then I wouldn't be here talking to you now. I chose my location because I ride horses and the land surrounding me was all residential and agricultural. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Frank is not a Chino Valley resident, against the project.
My name is Frank Ansari, and I live in Haystack Ranch, which is about 2 miles from the proposed airport. Originally, I was neutral about this project because I believe in education, training, and I used to fly. After hearing about how Embry-Riddle makes pests of themselves wherever they go, I quickly changed my mind to oppose this project. Perkins Airport project once again guarantees Embry-Riddle will make themselves most unwelcome. This project is evolving with bait and switch tactics. First, I heard there was only going to be Cessna 172s and the occasional twin-engine Diamond. Then I heard, oh, there will be occasional Gulfstream corporate jets flying in from corporate executives. With the companies Tom Perkins is aligned with, you can guarantee there will be noisy, obnoxious helicopters for product development testing platforms. First, I heard all fueling operations will be done at Prescott Love Field. Then I heard, oh, there will be occasional fueling trucks necessary to fuel those corporate jets. So how long will it be before all aircraft have fueled at the proposed site? This doesn't, with possible seepage and spillage into the water table. This doesn't sound smart, considering the town wants access to Perkins well water. Systemically, this project is all about convenient financial gain for both applicants, while consequently destroying American dreams. What's more destructive is something that cannot be replaced, the destruction of the quality of life of the community. I see this as outright theft. Yes, theft for the benefit of a few. It seems like the state-of-the-art business paradigm is bulldoze, steamrolls, and mow over people as long as the bottom line is fat and healthy. And what about those high-paying jobs? Please define high-paying. High-tech companies move when they can also conveniently make money. That means plant closures and they move so they can move to small towns paying non-competitive wages. I know, I've witnessed this several times because I worked for a large giant defense company. I know if this project is approved, while driving past Embry-Riddle's bulletin board sign, I will look at it with utter disdain. I can't think of a more destructive PR move by Embry-Riddle. Mr. Mayor and Town Council, please say no to this project. It's outrageously wrong for Chino Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Debbie Stark, yes, the Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Christy Majors.
Hi, my mayor and council, my name is Debbie Starr. First of all, I'm against the proposed airstrip. I don't believe that the Chino Valley City Council has done the due diligence on this matter. This airstrip was not on this Chino Valley general plan that we voted for, which states that the Chino Valley is a peaceful rural community that supports recreation and regional tourism. We are committed to preserving our community. Expansion vistas, endless grasslands, and starry night skies while promoting limited and sustainable growth. Our proud agriculture make Chino Valley a desirable place to build a future. Back in 2007, the airstrip proposal was brought before the city council and was voted down. The only difference now is a new partner for the Perkins family and more residents, in fact, in the area. The town of Chino Valley has not sufficiently addressed the public concerns or provided the impartial, thorough studies on these issues. Economic impact study showing complete pro and con, cost, burdens, initial and long-term, and the financial benefits of the revenue and any money to be gained by local businesses. Specific flight patterns and altitudes, maneuvers, touch and go numbers, and durations. Formal noise studies for the flight paths and the airstrip and nearby locations. Quality of life issues for residents and animals, domestic and wildlife, and the Buddhist Monk Institute, complete loss of quiet and solitude for their pursuit of religious freedom. Has anyone on this council communicated with the residents of Clarkdale or Seligman? The ERAU currently operates airstrips with competitive training flights and how it impacts the residents of those cities. I asked the town council to vote no on this airstrip proposal. At least let the people of Chino Valley decide for themselves by putting this on the ballot in November. Let the town decide instead of 5 members of the council. Please remember, governance requires weighing long-term impacts against projected benefits. Thank you for this opportunity to speak.
Christy is not a Chino Valley resident against the project.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm not here to speak by my own words, but those of the prophet Micah in the Old Testament, as he was led by God to speak. These are not only for your ears, but mainly for the applicants. I ask that you will listen carefully and prayerfully. Micah 2, verses 11 through 3. What sorrow awaits you who lie awake at night, thinking of evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so. When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man out of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. But this is what the Lord says: I will reward your evil with evil. You won't be able to pull your neck out of the noose. You will no longer walk around proudly, for it will be a terrible time. And as the King Solomon says, when all has been said and done, the conclusion of the matter is this: fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Laura. Oh, goodness. Something like that. Like touching about a resident against the project, followed by Joanne Savage. Or so that.
6 letters that you use every time. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to speak. My concerns, as I suffer chronic illness, heart conditions, and other physical ailments, is that every one of them can be aggravated by consistent noise, loud, low-flying aircraft that we hear all the time now are going to get louder and fly lower. The study that was done on the touch and goes was flawed to begin with. They couldn't actually perform what they were needed. Pardon me. I used to sing and I'm still nervous speaking in public. The quality of life, the noise flying at low altitudes, impact the ability not only to enjoy your own property as an owner or renter, both inside and outside. We're currently experiencing more flights over our area than we have since we moved here over 25 years ago. And for us to think that it's going to start at 5 in the morning and go on until 11 or later at night is absolute insanity. How can anybody that maybe works in the morning during the day get a good night's sleep, or works at night and has to sleep during the day, get a good night's sleep? It's not going to happen. Again, quality of life impacts. Sounds and vibrations travel great distances, and to think that those planes are going to stay in one tiny little loop constantly. I've been there, they don't. So, the other thing that I think is of concern to a great deal of people in Chino Valley is the loss of the value of our homes. Most of us have our retirement money tied up in our homes, and that can be cut by 10 to 20%. It's been proven. It's been proven that the noise, the consistent noise, can drive animals to do things they never did. Can you imagine what it's going to do to humans? So this isn't everything that I wanted to say, but what I'd like to emphasize is that this project does not align with the town's plan. Those of us who oppose it feel disrespected, and one of the members disrespected us for being old, Social Security, and being disabled. That has nothing to do with this project. And I think we are owed an apology. The only people benefiting this are the Riddle and the Perkins family. No one is going to accomplish this. Any money that can come from building this is years and years down the line. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Joanne is the town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
Hello, members of the town council.
I tried to find a financial incentive for how this would benefit the town. Due to a lack of financial analysis by the town, or at least that I've been able to obtain, I've been able to rely on missing pieces of financial information from a variety of places. And I want to thank, the person who changed or found out that the firehouse would be part of the, I guess, phase one. We needed it in phase one. And that it would be paid for by Ingrid Riddle. That was my understanding from earlier tonight. Since the first meeting I attended, I have been told how much this will benefit the town and provide increased revenue to the town. There are arguments that this will increase jobs for Chino Valley residents. Other than the development of the airfield, it's doubtful that there will be many jobs available to Chino Valley residents in phase one. While I might agree that phase 2 through 4 might provide jobs for a manufacturing facility if they decide to move here, at present it's doubtful we have enough people with aerospace related research and development expertise for the majority of jobs that will be created. With the advent of AI and automated manufacturing, it's even questionable how many jobs would be available to a manufacturing sector. I've been told just on the first, the 15 million, I've been told by, Mr. Holt that about 33% of that was material, so that's like $5 million, which is worth about 200,000 PPT to the town. And I did some, work with what would be the labor, and I figured about 75 to 100 people coming in from out of town. And spending, say, a couple $100 a week, that would mean about $30 to $35,000 for their time and work. That would come to about 1.7% gain for the town, $230,000 to $250,000, and I don't see that makes any sense. To me, it seems like the council is dreaming of future phases that may never come to pass, may never turn out the way they will be. And what we'll be stuck with, a bunch of small planes buzzing around our homes for 17 hours a day, no relief. No fire stations, projectors, or maybe we will have. And they made a mistake. Loss of revenue when the Buddhist Institute has to leave, decreased home values, and no money to speak of to add to the town. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Just for general information, we're gonna take a short recess at 7 o'clock.
All right, here we go again, Mark. You spit. You spit. Yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, and then up is Tracy Bruner.
Good evening.
I have you done as Lord of husband, is that okay?
I'm sorry.
I have you done as Lord of husband, because I can spell the last name.
Well, you know how that one.
Yeah, I know.
The pizza's coming, but, my name is Mark Musich. I've lived in Arizona for 70 years. I know I don't look ill. And in Chino Valley for over 25. I've served on the Chino Valley Board of Adjustment for several years to help this town grow in a responsible way. And I'm very proud of it. We moved here from Prescott for peace and quiet that we felt was needed when my wife became ill with cancer and developed cardiovascular and mental health issues, as we chose Chino Valley and not in the proximity of the airport for those reasons. Now we feel being forced on us. While I and many others understand the need for a town to grow, otherwise it will die. We don't want that. This proposed airstrip with 17 continuous hours of nonstop flying, droning planes flying 1,000 to 2,000 feet and holding pattern, awaiting their touch and go will do nothing to help that endeavor. A great number of Chino Valley residents in all areas be affected, not just Chino Valley. by the noise that we're concerned about. And these are our concerns. Studies have proven that pollution from prop airplanes arrive from the use of lead fuel are proven to pollute the air and surrounding land, affecting animals as well as people, making the air unhealthy and ultimately polluting the land. Studies also show that continuing droning sounds, persistent noises can do and cause exacerbate significant health problems, including but not limited to nervousness, cardiac problems, sleep issues, irritability, and many other health issues. Both domestic and wild animals may also be affected. The Gershon Institute, a place of peace, solitude, and religious training, requires peace and quiet for their surroundings. This airstrip will be less than a half mile and a half from that, thus destroying those things. Old Home Manor and Prescott College may, and many other areas are adversely affected. Our night skies will no longer be quiet, nor will they be able to be watched and enjoyed as we currently experience. I don't know the Perkins family, but it appears that they will be the only ones other than maybe Henry Ripley to benefit from this project and any financial benefits to the town in many years down the road. One family should not be able to ruin the peacefulness, property values, health, and any other surrounding towns or areas that will be affected by this project. Henry Riddle has limited choices not to be discarded. Thank you very much for your time.
Tracy is not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project. And I won't take anything anybody thought by these people.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Tracy Bruner, and I'm the Vice President of Antelope Meadows Property Owners Association. We are an unincorporated Yavapai which borders Chino Valley and whose taxes help pay the infrastructure for Chino Valley, including public schools, county services, fire protection, safety, libraries, parks, community college funding, and flood control, and other special district services. This issue is not about anti-education or anti-aviation. It's about land use compliance, cumulative impact, and the long-term consequences to the community. First, zoning and statutory compliance matters. Arizona land use framework, including the Arizona revised statute, requires that land uses be consistent with and adopted be consistent with adopted general plans, zoning designations, and development codes. When a project of this scale introduces sustained flight operations into a predominant rural and residential area, the burden is on the applicant to demonstrate the full compliance. The burden should not be shifted to the residents to absorb uncertainty. Several provisions within the Arizona revised statutes and the town's unified development ordinance require consistency with the adopted general plan and careful evaluation of compatible and intensity of use. I respectfully urge the council to apply those provisions strictly in this case. Second, sound and topography are not abstract concerns. Prairie land surrounded by mountains does not buffer noise. It carries and reflects it. Unlike urban airports that are governed by commercial zones and infrastructure, this location has none of those mitigating features. That directly affects the quality of life, property values, and compatibility with surrounding uses. Third, this is not simply a small private airstrip. The proposal includes phased development that over time expands operations, infrastructure, and capacity. By the final phase, this facility will function far more like an airport than limited use land strip. Council is not evaluating a single runway in isolation. You are evaluating the cumulative impact of the full build-out plan. Approving phase one establishes the legal operation foundation and subsequent phases. The long-term footprint, projected flight frequencies and infrastructure must be analyzed based on the end state, not just on the starting point. If the ultimate plan resembles an airport in function and impact, then it should be reviewed with a level of scrutiny from the onset. Fourth, liability and insurance considerations, facility transparency.
While operations may vary in terms, the municipalities are often named in disputes involving land use approval, safety concerns, and nuisance complaints. Even when claims are defensible, the costs are defensible.
Next is Michelle Zulin, not a ton of Chino Valley resident, against the project, followed by Christina Lundberg.
Good evening, my name is Michelle Zulin, and I'm a resident of I'm in Yavapai County. I am about 3+ miles from the center of the Sierra Strip. I just wanted to thank all those that have already spoken because they've said most of the things that I had to say. One thing I did want to bring up was I hope that you folks will consider all of Northern Prescott Valley residents as you think about the people in Chino Valley, because I don't think that the folks in Yavapai County / Northern Prescott Valley is getting fair representation here or thought process, because we won't be able to vote on this if this does go to referendum. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, have you looked at any of the other alternative locations that Amarillo is apparently investigated, and I haven't seen any information on, other than I've heard they've got a couple other spots that they're looking at. I would implore you to possibly look into that instead of the location of the city folks are opposed to. Thank you for your time.
Christina is not a ton of Chino Valley resident, against the project.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Christina Lundberg, and I'm the director and representative of the Garden Youth Institute. We are here tonight standing with the majority of residents because our way of life is one that values peace, quiet, health, and shared community benefit is at risk. The proposed airfield is not progress that serves the whole town. It is profit for two entities at the expense of thousands. This proposal represents a serious departure from the Chino Valley general plan. The conditional use permit clearly states that land use cannot be materially detrimental to those living or working nearby. An airstrip with planes taking off and landing every few minutes next to a silent sanctuary and over homes is materially detrimental. There's no reasonable way around that. For nearly 30 years, the Garden Youth Institute has been a world-renowned sanctuary of peace. Pilgrims from 32 countries visit, with about 2,000 coming annually and nearly 500,000 participating online. We are a nonprofit that relies entirely on donations. In the past 5 years alone, we have paid over $2.8 million to Chino Valley contractors, a significant investment, and consistently support area hotels, restaurants, and local businesses. But beyond the economics, we offer something priceless: silence. Quiet is essential to our meditation retreat center. The proposed touch and go flights directly over our sanctuary would bring constant noise, safety risks, and fire dangers, substantially interfering with our long-established religious use of this land, which we are prepared to protect. We are being given a false choice: accept this airfield or face a housing development that our water supply cannot sustain. Other responsible growth options exist for the Perkins Ranch that are compatible with the general plan and that we do support. Importantly, Embry-Riddle has identified 4 other viable locations, even some that welcome it. With an endowment exceeding $300 million, they have the resources to choose a site that does not upend thousands of lives that don't have such an endowment. A university that prides itself on spiritual diversity and interfaith engagement should understand what is at stake. If this were your church, your silent retreat center, your sacred space, would you welcome its ruin with a training airfield in your backyard? Please hold it, silence, it's my business. Thank you.
Next is Joy Perkins, not a town of Chino Valley resident for the project, followed by Matthew Dow.
Hello, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I'm Joy Perkins, I'm Tom's wife. I hear a lot about cowboy culture, wide open spaces, peaceful, rural atmosphere. Do you realize a lot of that is provided by the hard work of my family? Dating Major ran the ranch for 20 years while raising 2 kids. Shane currently runs the ranch and homeschools 4 kids and still works a city job. Demanding to continue that cowboy culture, I wonder if they could keep up with Shane for a day. He starts at 5. Cows are noisy. Actually, their mood measures 60 to 70 decibels and louder when they're birthing or in distress. We know how their life ends. Hogs are even louder, 95 to 115, and new construction, 80 to 90. Then there are the modified trucks, racers, lawnmowers, etc. Should we just get rid of all of that? Tom has worked painstakingly for the past year to make this project excellent. As you probably know, he spent 30 years in the Army, the 160th Special Operations Aviation, and his job as an annoying helicopter pilot, the phrase said, gives us the opportunity to speak freely tonight. We envision a small private airstrip that will attract manufacturing, business, and perhaps provide work that attracts top aeronautical scientists and engineers. I've heard a lot of trash about Whittle. We did a lot of research and we're sending our daughter there. She's currently an aviation student. These kids and some over there are the future. Do you know that the head of NASA is a Whittle graduate? No, I have no doubt that they're not perfect, but they're #1 in the world. The Buddhists have been very loud when recruiting against us. I'm not anti-Buddhist at all, but they do have 3 facilities in the US. 2 are very close to major airports, 1 Air Force base. And Garcha Rinpoche himself, on their website, he's traveled extensively for the past 20 years to his other centers in Asia and in Europe, where he traveled by plane. I hope that we could be proud to say those best pilots in our town. Some people find solutions for every problem. That's my husband. Others find problems for every solution. Let's not do that. The kids travel to Phoenix for internships. Let's keep them here and stop doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
We'll do the last one.
Matthew speaking, and we'll go shortly.
He is not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
Hello, my name is Matthew Dow. I'm the corporate Yavapai County. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Town Council members. This is an abstract policy. This is our kids' futures on the line. Imagine your grandkids, any child from Chino Valley or neighboring communities, running through the backyard, playing in the front yard, breathing what should be clean Arizona air. Ugh, terrible, right? Day after day, by invisible lead particles drifting down, they will be poisoned by flying, low-flying, single-piston engine planes. This isn't some conspiracy theory. This is EPA's own confirmed reality. Leaded aviation fuel from these planes causes or contributes air pollution that straight up endangers public health, especially our children. The EPA's 2023 final determination doesn't have any room for excuses. There is no safe level for lead exposure for kids. None. 0. Even low blood levels cause irreversible lifelong damage, slashed IQ, academic performance, attention deficits, behavioral problems that follow them forever. Real proof, the Reed Hillview Airport study in Santa Clara County, over 14,000 child lead samples showed kids closer to the airport have significantly higher lead levels, spiking approximately 74 decibels, or not decibels, milledecibels or something like that. Sorry, but it's affected by
Proximity, downwind direction, flight volume, lead spikes rivaling or beating major contamination events, like Flint, Michigan. That's not a maybe, that's a proven. Those kids playing are paying the price for floods. The proposed Perkins airstrip tied Emory Riddle's 50+ daily flights, unleaded fuel planes to dump an exact preventable toxin right in the Perkins family oriented slice of heaven. We knew leaded fuel was bad back in 1970. The EPA has been pushing to end leaded AV gas since 1990, with big pushes in 2006, 2010, 2013, 2014, and 2022. So don't let this arbitrary 2030 date try and persuade you. Look, we're not an airport suburb. We're hardworking Americans who choose quiet rural life, not consistent low buzz from flying airplanes, lead dust or snow peaks. I'm fed up with the spin and minimization of it's not that bad. This is wrong. This is preventable. I strongly suggest you reject this proposal right here, right now. Safeguard our children's brains, our homes, and our way of life. Our kids deserve better. Health and peace must come first. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll take a short recess and we'll be back in your seats when it's
Well, that was pretty crazy. Sorry, I'm in a dark room now because I'm watching this in the dark, and obviously the time is setting. So, holy cow! Sorry about the audio. I'm not running the Chino Valley audio, but they definitely need to freaking fix it. I really hope they do. But I'm getting a glimpse of all the stuff that people are saying, and obviously there's a lot of people that are opposed to the actual private airstrip. So that kind of, obviously it is what it is. The town is not really expecting to have a love for it. And that's what I'm noticing right now. So it's going to be kind of crazy to see of what happens next, whether it's, I guess it's in the council's hands, whoever's in that room right now. I think actually what they're doing is they're listening to everything. And then tomorrow is the actual vote itself. So this is basically the town hall meeting to listen to people and what's going on. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and just open up right now and ask some questions. And I'll try to figure out if I can answer them from what I almost heard compared to all the people that are speaking and talking. It just seems like, they're not liking it. A lot of residents, some residents have been there for 20+ years. Some residents that are very new have spoken it, and obviously we've had the Perkins family stand up and actually speak as well. So there was some that were for it, and there were some that, or a lot of them were against it. So I guess that's kind of what's been going on right now, the back and forth of the conversational piece. So I'm glad everybody's keeping it civil in there, no name calling. I wish it was the same way online as it is in this room right now. So shout out to everybody keeping it cool in there. Really do appreciate you. And once again, guys, sorry for the audio. Audio is horrible. I know it. It's not my fault. This is my audio currently right now. But yeah, I guess I probably should have went out there to Chino Valley. But this is what technology is all about, and that's what the Prescott Time is all about. It's all about that data. And if we go ahead and try to eliminate some working hours or man hours, this is what we're going to do. So anyways, right now they're taking a break. They basically had to go ahead and take a bathroom break, and I guess I'm going to go ahead and take a break right now and basically just show you guys some of the stuff that we got going on. At the Prescott Times, just because, why not? This is what we do right here. So let's go ahead and switch us over to the Facebook area. And we're going to go ahead and look at our events that are happening this coming week. This Thursday, if you guys are interested in being a part of it, I would love for you guys to go ahead and come out and check it out. Let's go ahead and say share this tab. So we're doing the Northern Arizona Wranglers 2026 Kickoff Business Mixer, and you guys are all welcome to be a part of it. Well, if you're a business owner, or even if you are a person that's getting ready to be in business, we would love to have you guys out. We are also doing Cars and Coffee. If you guys don't know, Cars and Coffee and Cigars is happening in Prescott over at Barbudos. We had to switch it up, and now we are blocking Sharon and leading this because obviously she doesn't exist. So we're doing Coffee and Cars. It's going to be every other second Sunday of every month starting this March. So if you guys want to be a part of it, please just reach out to us. You can go ahead and reach us at info@theprescotttimes.com. So I'm just filling in some pieces right here, guys. Filling in some pieces. We're also moving in and doing the contractors mixer, so it's industry specific. If you guys want to be a part of that, we would love to have you. This is going to be happening on March 19th, and once again, it's industry specific. If you have something that you could offer the contractors, I would love to have you guys out. It'd be a good time for you guys to be a part of something that works for our community. And then we're going to move in right into March as well with the Northern Arizona Wranglers Kickoff Block Party. And that's when we are doing a chili cook-off. So I don't know if we're going to be reaching out to restaurants, but we would love to have anybody out there. And then immediately following that event, we're going straight into the Northern Arizona Wranglers. Also, we are now media sponsors for the Prescott Area Shelter Services. They're basically calling it the Deep in the Heart of Prescott 16th Annual Tea Party. So if you guys want to be a part of that, let me know. And then we're starting the whole market night and movie lights at Founding Fathers. And currently we are looking for vendors, and we're going to be doing that for 9 Fridays. So every Friday, right, starting the summer, we're going straight into it. So we would love to have you guys be a part of it. So if you're a business out there or you're a vendor, we would love to have you guys for reals. So yeah, guys, the town meeting is still to resume shortly. I think they ended up having to do a bathroom break, which is totally okay if you really need to. Just kidding, guys. Oh man, I tell you what, this is a long meeting. 2 hours we're in. I don't know who's still there watching with me, but thank you guys for tuning in and watching the show. And yeah, let's see what happens.
And we'll get started in the reconvene. Here.
All right, next up is Tony Garden, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by David Volkan.
Good evening, Town Council here. My name is Tony Garden. I reside in Chino Valley. I'm a home owner. I am so far 100% completely against the project. Town council members are expected to maintain neutrality, particularly when acting in a quasi judicial capacity, such as voting on zoning variances or land use permits. I'm not sure this has been the case so far, and there's been some preferential treatment at the beginning of this meeting tonight. So if this goes through, we can look forward to an aeronautical freeway above our heads, 40,000 plus flights. I take a daily world inventory. I love acronyms. The one for ego is edging God out. The Oxford group set forth moral standards to test thoughts and actions against God's will for ethical integrity, and they are non-denominational. The Oxford Group 4 absolutes can be Googled. They are, number one, absolute honesty. Is it true or is it false? Number two, absolute purity. Is it right or wrong? Number three, absolute unselfishness. How will it affect other people? Number four, absolute love. Is it ugly? Beautiful. There are three kinds of dishonesty. Number one, outright lies. Number two, self-delusion, lying to oneself. Number three is omission. As council members, I implore you to take a personal moral inventory individually based on these principles before you take a vote tomorrow. I want to thank you for your time. I will email this to you in the morning. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
David is not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project.
Good evening, council. Thanks for having us. Our home is located right on the approach corridor, Crescent Regional. Plains Farm, our homeland. We watched jets.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. This sounds horrible.
So we know something about the corridors.
I'm gonna end this stream, man. It sounds horrible.
Tens of thousands of flights per year projected in the approaching departure corridors of Crescent Regional. Eventually, something bad's going to happen. I can be there the most.
All right, there we go.
Look at what happened in Washington, D.C. involving the experienced pilots. Possibility of an accident is not, it's only magnified by the sheer number of planes separated by mere hundreds of feet. To any sane person, this is insanity. Just because the development services attached to Menlo, the airstrip will be built at their own risk does not absolve the town's liability to use lawsuit they are running. What, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of 80 people are involved in a collision on a jet airliner? Mayor Armstrong, like you, I am not. You have stated you want to hear from more people. You said those in which you haven't are either ambivalent or in favor. Our Facebook page posing this airport, there were over 1,000 people. You can't ignore them. What about the 100 signatures against and filed with town, many of which come from Chino Valley residents? The airstrip goes in, it's forever to be attached to you, members of this council. Another get rich scheme gone badly forever, except of course, the applicants. We found out from a member of Facebook that the Attorney General is now involved. This letter has been posted on the Facebook page. Will the town's procedures throughout this process withstand the scrutiny of an investigation by the AG? How about the secretive meetings that are now coming to light? Have you dotted all your I's and crossed all your T's? About members of this council all over the social media. This has also been brought to the attention of the AG's office.
or again, ignore the AG's office, like P and Z, ignore the list with the AG's input, letter from an attorney. We are building a paper trail. What is this rabid obsession of members of the town government? This raises a lot of unsavory questions. What is the town afraid of? Water issues? Is it time for Chino Valley to consult with their own land use attorney? Get straight answers. What can cause you to destroy? What can cause you to consider destroying an entire valley? All these problems will go away with no vote. Do the right thing, no, do the moral thing, the ethical thing. For your residents and all your neighbors throughout this valley that follow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Patricia Kraus, non-town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Peter Cole. Patricia left. Patricia left. Okay, Peter Cole, non-town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Amy Wolfen.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Peter Cole. I thank you for holding this meeting and giving us the opportunity to speak. I'm not a local resident, but I do frequent the Archdeacon's Institute. I've been to all the public meetings, and it's clear to me that there's a growing opposition to this proposal. And in the interest of time this evening, I just want to say for the record, I strongly oppose Perkins Ranch Airfield proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Amy is not a town of Chino Valley resident against the proposal.
Good evening. Much of my speech has already been said, so I won't bore you with that. I will tell you the story. I grew up in Iowa, on a family farm. I understand about the noises cows make, and they don't go on all day long. We moved to Arizona in 1986, Cochise County, about 10 miles from the Mexican border, right next door to Fort Huachuca. I have great respect for our military. Our children grew up and left home. We raised them there for over 35 years. 30 years. They moved here, one in Prescott Valley. I've got 8 grandchildren within 8 miles of where I stand right now. We researched out here different communities. We chose Chino Valley because of what you said you were. We built a home. And thank you, Will, for finally putting it on the map tonight. It's great to see it up there. That home was finished in 2021. We have visions of taking hikes with our grandchildren. We have visions of camping out. We're going to be 1.5 miles from this airport, and it is an airport. Look up the definition. Will Dingy and the applicants could call it a petting zoo. It is an airport, and it will be from day one. You all rely upon the department to give you information. Check that information carefully. There's been problems. What I'd like to know is, have they ever said a single unfavorable thing about this project to you? I have not heard anything. It's all been sunshine and roses. Hidden impacts, faulty and buried information from untrustworthy sources. That's the kind of information you have to rely on. This is a credible gift to town. I'm not in it. I'm outside of it. I get to bear the brunt. I'm the closest. When I heard this, I felt alone, I felt abandoned, and I felt betrayed. This is not who you said you were. In December, however, I set up a Facebook group. There's over 1,000 members. I am not alone. We are strong and we are growing. Please, please do the right thing and vote no on this. Don't put your taxpayers to the expense of a referendum. Vote no. Please do the right thing for your community. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next is Ken Chan, not a town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Steve Willing.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. My name is Ken Shannon. I'm an unincorporated Delphi County.
You've already heard over here from Chino Valley residents who don't believe Perkins Airport project conforms with making Chino on 2040 general land. We've heard several justifications from development services countrywide. Some say that it's all just one's opinion. So why don't we just sit past that and look at what's fact? And that's the unified development ordinance. Now, these are ordinances that everyone has to follow, including your shops. When an application is filed and fails to meet the requirements established in the ERAU, the application is denied. Well, the matter at hand is you're going to be voting on an application with 4 phases to building a new airport. By the way, airport is defined in the ERAU. That will be used as a training airport for every building. Phase 1 and phase 2 will bring a runway, taxiways, and a ramp that covers over 17 acres. In later phases, the plans for commercial office space, an industrial warehouse, educational buildings, a firehouse, and a research park. An additional 180 plus acres, making a total of almost 200 acres or over a 50% lot coverage. This doesn't even include the roadways, parking lots, or additional taxiways and ramps that I'm sure will be needed. Well, now we go back a minute. I think we all remember that if a project fails to meet the UDO, it should be denied. In this case, this project does fail to meet the UDO because AR-36 zoning, which you codified in ordinance 2025-953 on June 24th of last year, only allows for 15% lot coverage. So how can we improve it? In fact, Will Dingy has brought up that it's a 15% lot coverage. In 1993, the original one said 50%, and it did not include airports. That was a line text. Oh, funny how it happens. You, of course, could disregard the UDO just to prove that it could possibly be a violation of ARS 9-462.01, violation of the uniformity clause. You could approve a variance in maximum lot coverage, which would be a violation of ARS 462.06, various limitations. Please note that you should be choosing either or both. Your decisions could be considered arbitrary and capricious, likely classifying it as illegal spot zoning. You could also have the option to resubmit the application for just phase 1 and 2, phases 3 and 4, which require their own cut, which would then subject to those phases to referendum. I'm going to suggest that you as a body carefully consider your decision, because your decision could open the town significantly to more liability than you'll get from private with the long runway. Oh, did I forget one more option for your decision? Just say no. Just say no. Thank you. Thank you, check. And it's a 10%, so I'm here if you want to see.
Steve is not a Chino Valley resident against the project.
Okay, my name is Steve Willing. I'm a resident of Prescott Valley. Thank you for taking our comments. My experience in Prescott Valley may give a small preview of what Chino Valley can expect if this airfield proposal is approved. Even though I live well south of 89A, almost 10 miles east of the Prescott Airport and outside of any flight paths, Embry-Riddle training flights often fly directly over our house. Their planes are easily identifiable by the blue and white markings. They often tend to fly at lower altitude than other small planes and are clearly audible inside our house, so all the doors and windows are closed. In other words, Embry-Riddle training flights range over a wide area and don't just stay close to the airport. In the presentations for the proposed Perkins Airfield, flight paths are shown with arrows implying that the noise impacts will be limited to those narrow paths. But in actual practice, that wouldn't be the case. Training flights will probably range widely over Chino Valley, just as they do now over Prescott Valley. In addition, the number would be greatly increased when the current operation in Cottonwood and possibly even Daytona Beach are also included. There will be a very large number of planes in the air over Chino Valley, with all of those student pilots logging their flight hours. This frequent and ongoing annoyance would most likely make this a much less desirable place to live. Instead of residents of Cottonwood, Clarkdale, and Daytona Beach complaining about the noise, it may become the residents of Chino Valley filing complaints. There is no assurance that the airfield will attract new jobs, but even if any new jobs do eventually materialize, that will be some years in the future. Meanwhile, the negative impacts would arise much more quickly. Since the airstrip would be built in phase 1, the noise from multiple training flights would be the first thing to arrive. Far from encouraging growth, the airfield could very well have the opposite effect. As Chino Valley becomes known for airplane noise, people who might have been drawn to move here for the quiet rural environment would stay away, and those homes will never be built. Likewise, businesses that might have moved in to serve a growing population may never come. And at least one significant current contributor to the local economy, the garden industry, may be driven away. Before voting to make this major change to Chino Valley that could become a source of great future regrowth, please consider the impact of your decision very carefully.
Thank you, sir.
Next is Gail Minef, yes, the town of Chino Valley resident against the project, followed by Brad Mister.
Hi, thank you for letting us talk. I'm from. But, I know we were really near there, we weren't that near an airport, but we were affected all the time. And you never know if they're gonna keep it in that limited area. Because things come up, things change, and we just don't want it here. And we moved out here for the peace and quiet and tranquility. And we just, and most of the stuff I was gonna say, everybody has said, don't get it repeated. And I just, I'm asking you to please say no to this and let us have our peace and quiet that we can.
Thank you, ma'am.
Brad is not a town of Chino Valley resident against